Hey, is it possible that this statement is true? The solution is actually the problem. Hey, and welcome to episode 62. This is the Melvin Live Show, and great to have you here as always, as always, as always. Right, and so today we want to talk about this idea of the problem is the solution. But before that, let me tell you a little story, right? So the story goes something like this. The year was 19, let me see, the year was 2020. 2001. Yes. So the year was 2001. The dot com that I was leading, the early stage dot com that I was leading, which I was the CEO of, wasn't able to survive the post 9/11. And so what happened was we kind of transformed everything that we did, and then what happened was we decided to fund many of the things that fund the whole enterprise through many of our own efforts. Like, for example, we were really like taking out credit cards to maxing our credit cards just to fund the enterprise. And the good part to that is, in that process itself, I learned a great deal. But the not so good part is that we lost lots of money. And so that's the story that I think some of you would know because I have shared with you. But some of you might not know the extent of the story itself. So what happened was after we decided that we simply cannot extend the lifespan of the enterprise simply by throwing good money after bad. We decided to dissolve that company itself and set up a new one, a different company. And the good part with that whole decision was that we were able to create a school, and as a result of that whole effort itself, we were able to transform the school and then sell off that school in the process. However, along the way, I got into some kind of a financial difficulty, and the financial difficulty resulted in me taking out my credit card debts. So, I remember that point in time, I had tons of credit card debts. If I'm not mistaken, I had credit card debts worth, I think, $60,000. Yeah, I had credit card debts, including cash lines and all that stuff. I had like $60,000 worth. And initially, what happened was I simply did this. Every time when I get paid, I would then take my entire salary and I would pay the credit card or the cash advance. And then what I'll do is I would then withdraw the money out almost immediately. And so it was a case of just putting in, taking out, putting in, taking it out, putting in, taking it out. Until it came to a point in time where I can no longer take out anything, because as months go by, the amount of interest that requires me to pay adds up. And that compounding interest is truly scary because I think when it came to the third year of my financial difficulty, I ran into a situation where I can no longer pay. And so that was really, really painful. I mean, that was really, really difficult time for me. I still remember the incident where I had only $15 left in my bank account. And you know, those days you the minimum amount of money that you can withdraw is $10, but you will need at least $10 in the bank account. So I have 15, and if I want to go to the ATM, I can only withdraw $10, which will then leads me to have only $5 left. And because of the fact that I need to have at least $10 in the bank account, I was unable to withdraw from the ATM. And so I remember specifically during lunchtime, I had to queue in line. I stand in line, waited for my turn to withdraw $5 because the minimum amount that I need to have in the bank was $10 because otherwise it will close the account. And I remember giving the teller this withdrawal slip, and I wrote $5. So she took it from me, and then she looked at me and she said, "Did you mean 500?" And I said, "No, I wanted to withdraw $5. That was the most embarrassing time ever. And she looked at me. I think she probably saw the pain in my eye, and she didn't ask any more questions, and she proceeded to to give me the money, and I took off, right? And the next thing I did was, with the $5 in hand, I had to decide what to spend it on. Because if I spend it entirely on food, then I have no more money for drinks. And what about dinner, right? That was just lunch. What about dinner? What about the next day? And so it was a scary moment. And I was just sitting there, and I was looking at some of these office people. They were walking during lunch after having that meal. They actually bought a copy of the newspaper. At the point in time, I think it was like $1 or 60 cents. I can't remember, but it was some money, right? They bought a copy of the newspaper, and some of them even had a cup of fancy drink in their hands, which is the bubble tea. And I remember looking at it and saying to myself, I was like, man, that is luxury, right? That was luxury to me, because, you know, here I am having just $5 left, and I'm wondering, what am I going to do with this? And so that was the situation. So what happened was, after that, I had to do a series of things, and one of the things was that I looked at what I could do, and so it led me to a series of situation where I literally, you know, I just did what I could, and I knew that I could write business plan, because during the time when I was in the .com, I was in charge of raising funds, and we did raise at least during my time, we did raise $250,000 of funds for the company itself. And so I knew that I am able to help company with fundraising. And so I put that into good use. I started talking to companies. I said that, hey, I could help you with fundraising. I can help you write a business plan, and I could help you do a financial forecast and all the good stuff, right? So I can do that for you. Um, and this is my asking price. And I began to get quite a number of good clients who really believed in me and gave me the opportunity to do that. And I was thrilled because in the next couple of months I was able to earn some good money. And that's where the problem started, right? So the title of today's episode, it's this: the solution is the problem. Now, why is the solution the problem? When we are faced with a problem, and when the problem is painful enough, what we would do is we would seek out a way to resolve that problem. We would find ways to help us resolve that problem. Now, what happened after that is the following. You would take some kind of action, and once you take some kind of action, the problem it goes from unbearable to bearable. And this is where you start thinking like, oh, it's not that bad, right? And you started to become a little bit more complacent. And then the problem manifests itself again, and then it leads to the whole problem again. And so for me, how it worked was, I began to have some money, and I started to pay off the debt. And as I pay off the debt, I then saw that I actually had more money. And since I had more money, I decided to spend it, and that, it leads to another problem itself. And it was terrible because it got me, I think, at least 6 years before I totally cleared the debts. 2 years before I totally cleared the debts, but it was a horrendous time. It was a horrible time. I remember. So the point of me sharing this solution or this story with you is because I would like you to think about, in your world, is this solution actually the problem? You see, many a time we are faced with a goal that we want to achieve, and we think that that goal it's something that we want to work towards. So, but there is something that comes in between us, and so it's kind of difficult to work towards a goal. But and as we start taking action, that goal becomes nearer. And the problem is, for some of us, we start thinking, we start getting complacent, we start doing less because now it seems so good, right? And and therein lies the problem, because the next thing that's going to happen is this thing is going to blow up in our face, and that is going to really, really get ugly itself. And so when I think about this, I ask myself, how do I resolve this? And the way that I have been resolving it now, it's the following. Every day I would write down at least one thing that I will do in order to help me make progress towards my goal. And in making progress towards my goal, there are a series of things that I need to do. So I will focus on the goal itself. And with the goal, I then break that goal down into what I call key results, right? The results that I must achieve in order to reach that goal. So it's similar to OKR, objectives and key results. So with those key results itself, I will then translate that into monthly results as well as weekly results. And with the weekly results on a weekly basis, I will then translate those weekly results into daily results. So on a daily basis, I will look at those weekly results that I must achieve. And then what I would do is I would then identify the tasks that I must accomplish today in order to meet the results that I want to see for that week. And this has been fundamentally a game changer for me because in the past, I was looking at it from what are the things that I could do to reach my goal. The truth of the matter is there are many ways to reach the goal. And until and unless you try out all the ways possible, it's probably going to take you a long time, which it did. It took me a long time to figure that out. And so what happened was with my mentor, I was able to look at instead of what are the things that I need to do that will help me reach the goal. Instead, we kind of turn it around and say that this is our goal. These are the results that we must achieve to reach that goal. And then we break down the results into monthly and weekly results. And then from weekly results, you then deconstruct that into daily tasks that must be done in order to achieve the results for that week. And that has created tremendous momentum and tremendous results for me. Share with me what is your way of planning and identifying your workflow or your system that helps you arrive at your end goal. What are some of the things that you've tried? What are some tools? What are some strategies? What are some thinking protocols that you have used? Share that with me, won't you? All right. And so this week, one of the key things that I'm going to be focusing on is the idea of catalytic causes. Now, what exactly are catalytic causes? A catalytic cause is a cause that we use to equip our people, to equip our prospect with the know-how so that they are able to make an informed decision and to know how they could potentially work with us to arrive at the goal that they want to arrive at. And so that is something that is tremendously exciting because I will also be sharing with you the story behind how I discovered this catalytic course. And now I'm using this to help all my clients to be able to create this system to help them get clients digitally in a whole new, refreshing way. And so if that's something that you want to know, make sure you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button because this is how you will be able to be in touch and know whenever I go live. So what I've planned out is if all things goes right, I would be going live every day at 9:15 Singapore, 9:15 p.m. Singapore time, or 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. And that's where I will be sharing all these strategies and all the things that I am doing that is going to lead me to that goal. And that goal is one person, 1 million, all things digital. And if that's something that you are interested in, make sure you join us. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.